I walk with ease. I only have stiffness if I don't work out my ankle for a couple of days, or I'm not well hydrated, or I've eaten things that are probably going to like aggravate my injuries. But I sort of know them. But on an average, I don't even realize during the day that I have a broken ankle. I walk barefoot. I wear the Merrell's barefoot shoes, right? So that's what I walk. I stroll easily. By this time of the day, I have done, just inside the house, I have walked about 3,000 steps. I got up at about 6:45 in the morning. I haven't even realized that there's a problem with my ankle, meaning I have no consciousness that I was ever injured. Then I can walk outside for, a couple of miles with no problem.
Hi everybody, this is Novak, and today I'm so excited because today I'm going to be talking with one of my amazing clients with a beautiful name but just slightly complicated for me, so I'm going to let herself to introduce. I know that she's also called Vilasi, so I'm going to go with Vilasi, but her beautiful name is slightly complicated. And today we're going to be talking about her amazing ankle transformation. So if you fractured your ankle, injured your ankle, this is the chat that you want to tune in. So Vilasi, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Maya, for everything.
I'm so excited to be talking today. So, you've been a member of the RMBO Flexible Ankles course, and you had an amazing ankle transformation. And I would love to get your feedback. What was actually happening with your injury? What kind of changes you noticed over the months? And also things that you want to share with other injured souls with injured ankles who are struggling with stiff and weak and sore ankles. And maybe they're also potentially hesitating to join the course. So first of all, I would love to hear your whole name, who you are. And
my whole name is Vilasavathi Venkatachalam. Vilasavathi is my first name.
Okay, well, I said that it's a beautiful name.
We can do Vilasi.
Vilasi, yes, Vilasi.
That's a little easier.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the first question that I would love to ask you is, what is your injury? What was your injury, and how did you injure your ankle?
I actually slipped on a patch of ice on the stairs going down from my condo. And these are a set of concrete stairs. They're relatively new, and I didn't see the ice, so the toe part of my foot stepped on it, and I went flying down, and I could feel something, like something happened in my ankle. But I was going sort of like head first on the side, and I caught myself, there's like this big mystery that makes you do things. I stretched and caught myself on the rail on the other side. And so instead of it being my head, my hip, my spine, it was limited to my ankle. I can say that now, but I wasn't feeling all that grateful when I fell down. So it was a trimalleolar fracture with a dislocation. Something was moving inside, and I was hoping that it was a sprain. And there was in the news of the incoming blizzard, and those non-stop every 3 days snowing blizzard thing. So I tried to tie an ACE bandage to it, and it just made it worse. So I just took the bandage off, and I found a position in which it wouldn't hurt, and I just lay down and said, I have to think about what I'm going to do. So the next day, I had a friend. She was visiting, so I asked her if she would get me a pair of crutches from the pharmacy, and I practiced at night, and then I went down the stairs, because this was the third day actually, because the second day, I don't know why I thought I would be able to like sit on my behind and just kind of go down the stairs, and then I realized, oh my God, I had like 400 steps to the car, and even though she was kind enough to drive, I just couldn't manage it, because there's no way. What would I be supporting myself on? There's nothing on the walkway. So I practiced on my crutches, and I just kind of we went to the urgent care, and the physician said, no, you need an emergency surgery 2 days ago. So you have to go to the ER. I'll call the person I know. They'll take you in immediately. And I went in there, and I realized that by the expression on everybody's face, it was worse than what I had anticipated. And peculiarly enough, I didn't really ask too many questions. I just told them, don't give me too many painkillers, and I want to know what you're going to do. That's all I said, because I didn't want to create another additional story, because sometimes overly informed is more painful and more fearful. So they tried this procedure to try to put the joint, the bone back in the socket, and they had my foot hanging up and tried to do it. And the PA was really apologetic. She said, I know it's barbaric, but we have to try it because it's so swollen, and so we may have to put those rods and stuff like that. And I said, listen, whatever you have to do to minimize my my trauma later, I'll take the lumps right now. So they tried it twice a night, and then they scheduled me for surgery the next morning around 10. And the physician and the surgeon said he has to go in and see what's happening because it's really swollen. And you came in a couple of days later, and I was having a little tantrum, and he said, listen, I didn't break your ankle, but I'm going to fix it. So that's kind of how it went. And I think I needed a little bit of sternness at that point, because I was trying to avoid surgery to see if he could do something else. He said, it's broken in 3 places, and the ER physician said it's like 5 or 5 or something. I said, best not to tell me, just fix it. Let me, just don't cut off my foot. That was my only condition. If you can't fix it, let me go, close it up and let me go home. Don't cut off my foot. That was my sum total of my instructions, and that's it.
Wow.
I think that one of this whole story is really the small part of the story. It was more my mind, and by the time I was on the 6th week to go to the surgeon, I had already started to panic because the snowstorms were coming, and they were going to be all through February and March. And I knew that there was no way for me to get down those stairs back, and then I would have to get somebody in there. It would be like a 4-hour or 5-hour ordeal. Somebody has to literally give up their life for 6 to 8 weeks for me to walk. And that was not a feasible thing for me. I live here by myself on a second floor condo, no less. So I was looking at exercises that I could do and trying to figure out how I'm going to get to the PT, or the PT is going to come to me. And then I found Maya Novak, and I heard your things, and I said, wait a minute, she gets me. Her mind works like me. And I think I'm less of a rah-rah person, more of deep transformation type of person. I can be methodical about it. But that was your voice. Your voice was speaking to me. So I downloaded that seven exercises. And it was funny, when the moment he gave me permission, he said, move, 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 and here's your PT prescription. I just want you to move relentlessly. I was, for that day, really happy that he was not one of those jittery ginger men, my surgeon. He was aggressive. And so I don't think he encouraged he didn't coddle you. From the very beginning, he didn't coddle me. And I didn't realize how good that was for my spirit. Initially, I was really annoyed with him for not coddling me a little more. Then I realized, thank God you didn't coddle me, because if you had coddled me, I would be still thinking about how I'm going to walk. And then I heard your thing, and the thing that struck me in all your programs is, no pain, no gain is not a good solution for this thing. So that was my first mantra. And I said, okay. And, Christopher Fry wrote this thing, like, a human heart can go to the lengths of God. And I said, well, God, I'm coming. So let's do this. And the first time they gave me permission, I sat cross-legged. And I knew that I had come to a point where there would be some level of normalcy in my life, that even if I didn't move, I'd be, in that moment, the fact that I can cross my legs was an important thing to me. And I tried to do the child pose. And I took the pamphlet with like the 7 exercises, and I put it on my phone near my bed, and I basically did that. And 2 days later, there was a thing saying, hey, have you tried the exercises? What about the iron with flexible ankles? I was like, oh, there's a program? Because I think I was in such a haste to just try something that I didn't notice what else was there. I just wanted a set of exercises. And I actually enrolled, I think, somewhere in like the middle of the night. And I'm so excited. I couldn't sleep. I waited for the set of exercises to come. I logged in and I saw what was there. And initially, I changed my mind about something. Initially, I wanted you to have all the 50-something exercises at one go. It was a good idea not to do that, because I think I would have been really discouraged if I had looked at all the exercises. I don't think I would have attempted any. As much as I like to think that I'm self-driven, the complication, the progressive complication of the exercises would have scared me. And I would have said, maybe I'm not cut out for this stuff. But instead, I just said, okay, set this page, I'm doing these 7 exercises. And I said, you should just really try. So I stood up in the shower and held the shower, the rod, the faucet. Then 3 days later, I said, hey, I'm standing. I forgot to hold the thing. And then most of my discoveries were I forgot to do what was supposed to be done. I forgot to hold the thing, and I said, oh, you can stand. You can stand. And then I would push my walker, and I would stand, and I'd cook. So I would cook for hours, and I would stand and move gently. So I realized that I was really in pain, and I looked at the clock. I had cooked a whole week's worth of meals.
Which is a huge thing, because before, especially you are living alone, so, taking care of yourself and having this ability is so important for your independence and just, taking care of yourself. And yes, standing, I know how amazing this feels. And, at the beginning, when you said that first you thought that it was just a sprain, I can completely connect to your story, because that was my first thought as well. When I fractured my ankle, it was like, oh, probably it's just a sprain and everything would be back to normal, in 2 weeks' time. And then I'm going to the, I don't know, I think that I had something with my girlfriend. So I completely understand this thing. So I know that you've been working hard, and your transformation is just so amazing, because it shows what is basically possible to achieve in a pretty short period of time. It's not necessary for something to take years, but it can really be condensed and happen really fast. And
yes, because between February, I bought the program on February 10th. I downloaded it on February 8th. It's a sheet of 7 exercises. I bought the program around 9th or 10th or something, between 8th and 10th somewhere. And by 28th, I was walking without any support.
Yeah.
And whenever I got painful, I did my own thing. Whenever it got painful, I bought the walker back. I would kick the walker ahead of me to have something to hold in case I didn't. And by the 5th week, there was a mild limp and drag if I wore a heavy shoe. Otherwise, one of the things that I did, which I was really delighted with you for talking about much later, that I wouldn't confess to anybody that I did all of this barefoot. I learned to put the boot back on and test the boot, because I have to go to see the surgeon, just in case I don't walk well. I wanted to be prepared to make sure that I don't aggravate him any more than I have already aggravated him. So I tested the boot. And I realized that just putting the barefoot, you have a better idea of your weight and the pressure you're putting on something. And I realized that there was no sensation underneath in my thing. And I had to really massage it every day, 4 or 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. I would keep doing I would keep doing the flexion exercises, the toe yoga. I kept doing that. And what I realized was that I have this beautiful arch in my foot that I never had before. I am relatively flat-footed. And then I said, wait a minute, how come my injured foot looks prettier than my non-injured foot? Vanity kicks in those moments. And I said, oh, my non-injured foot looks so much better. No, my injured foot looks so much better. So I started to work my non-injured foot, and I said, oh, the arch is forming. And I noticed that you would warn in the programs, the exercises, that it can get a little unpleasant, when you're doing the shortening exercises,
yes.
the toe exercises, the toe stretching exercises. I think they are my favorite, because I do them nonstop. And they got me walking I was able to grip the floor better, and they got me walking faster. And all your exercises were completely unexpected. And here is why. When I was lying there and afraid, I actually created a YouTube video directory for myself. I would watch physiotherapy videos. I would go to the manufacturers of the medical equipment and this walker and see how they instruct people to start walking, how to walk safely, the shower stool. I watched all the documentary style videos. I watched all the hospital videos on safely getting up and sitting down and all of that. So I literally taught myself, I said, I can't get to those things. So let me learn while I'm sitting around not knowing what to do. And there were many exercises that were really worthy, but it was the sequence of your exercises that did it for me. It was the way the program was set up. So initially I thought, the dorsiflexion, the plantar flexion with a little bit of resistance, I mean, what is it really going to do? But it did something. It moved my ankle within a couple of days. And then I said, well, maybe I should get, because I didn't have things to tie, instead of getting like the resistance bands that were loose, I got the circular ones, like the ones that you use for sports, so that I didn't have to tie anything. I would have something, I could hold something. So as I did that, I realized that I had accidentally used like something that was 10 pounds instead of 2 pounds. And I was like, why does it hurt so much? So I would do it more slowly.
You were pushing yourself. Yes.
And so the end was that within a week, it was a different experience. You had the subtalar joint release, and you said something about, somebody said to you can't walk on uneven surfaces. I said, oh no. If Maya Novak can walk on uneven surfaces now and do this, I'm following her. Nobody's going to tell me that I can't do that stuff. And I did.
Yeah, and it's with the right exercises. And one thing that I want to mention quickly, and what you also said, you wanted to have all the exercises maybe at once. But, these are, so when I was preparing this course, all the exercises, these were all the exercises that I was doing when I was recovering, and I still do some of them because it's just good for my ankles and for my feet to keep them strong. But these were all the exercises that I get over them in a period of maybe 2 years. So, for example, if I would get all the exercises at once, it would be so overwhelming and probably really discouraging, what you also said. So I know I ask for feedback, the members, my clients, and yes, here and there, people are saying like, yeah, I wish I could get more exercise at once. But the thing is that if you really focus on maybe just 1 or 2 per week, you can make a great progress. And going, and also going back to the basics, like you said, well, what can just, those basic exercises, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, do? It's so, sometimes we are so caught into, I have to make something really complicated, but going back to basics can make a huge difference. Huge difference. And you start to get a little humble about how quickly you can lose your flexibility, and how just having some of the basic exercises and moving your foot anywhere with that. And that was it. The program was really empowering, because no matter where I was my own therapist. See, with Maya Novak's voice in my head. So I could be anywhere, and I would have a set of exercises that I could do, that I didn't have to be tied to an equipment. I didn't have to be tied to a machine. I didn't have to do some workout on something black, some black equipment with beige walls. I could be sitting on the stairs downstairs looking at the birds and still moving my foot. And that is really empowering to know that no matter where I go in the world, no matter how old I am, I can actually recall these things, and in just their remembrance, regain my capacity. Yeah. Do you know what that feeling? Yes.
Yes. You just said, 3 weeks I was slacking and I was doing very little. And all of a sudden, I just stood up on the stairs and I did a little heel drop, and I heard Maya Novak's instructions in my head, and I said, dang, this is how it immediately loosens your ankle. And you're like, I feel, God forbid I should break anything, but I feel like I can handle another ankle injury. I don't want it, but it did something for me where even in life, right? Each of us have our own set of conditions under which we do well. And I always thought my condition was, give me the whole thing, let me figure out my process about how I'm going to do that, and I will somehow execute it. But because I had to follow Maya Novak's structure, and I surrendered myself to that and say, well, this is where you are. Do what you're told to do for once in your life, and then we'll see how it goes. And I am astounded. And rather inspiring because I changed the way I do things in other parts of my life because there was a mental rewiring from the program. The other thing was that you're really kind. And, kindness is always an awkward conversation to have because everybody wants to be pleasant, but kindness is a more difficult thing. And your program is rather brave because it says things that people would probably like skirt around saying, like, no pain, no gain is nonsense. It is actually will add to the injury. Your pain is the barometer for when you need to stop. And we're not talking about the soreness that you have. And it was interesting that I actually used that as a predictor. And I realized that if I work my ankle before I sleep at night, the morning is fluid. If I mistreat my ankle the night before, the morning is not as fluid. And I know which exercises to reach for. And there is a conversation that you have. I also bought your mindful meditations for dealing with pain and for dealing with moods and for dealing with discomfort. And believe me, I initially thought, well, I don't need one more meditation. I've been meditating so long and the stillness is good. And I realized that sometimes it's hard to get there from where you are. When you are in the throes of grief and the frustrated rage and embarrassment and vulnerability, and you really want to be able to take your trash to the trash, and you don't want anybody else to bring your meal except you, and you don't want to ask for small things. You don't want to send somebody to CVS for a dental floss. Those are the kind of things like, it would be, I wish I could say that I transcended that very easily, but I think that there was a part of me that is so used to being self-possessed and compact that any thought of reaching, like asking for some assistance was a big thing.
Yeah.
And your conversations about that was really helpful because it's to normalize the feeling, because most people tell you, well, nobody can do it alone. We're not blah, blah, blah. We have all the spiritualized, self-help kind of conversations. But the reality is that I'm the one who has to ask a reluctant neighbor or a friend to do something. You understand? Like, so it's all cute, but I'm the one who has to make the difficult, uncomfortable decision. It's not difficult as much as it is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's also having like accountability and someone who is pushing you. And I told you that already. I also have coaches and mentors, and having their voice in my head helps me to do things so much faster than just be, I can do everything on my own. And this is also your experience. Vilasi, what I want to ask you is that, you've done things on your own because there was a snowstorm coming and everything. Do you think that you would find value in the course even if you would be working with a physiotherapist?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here are the things that I realized because I was reviewing this for myself. So one, when you go to a PT, you have a set of exercises. You go 2 to 3 times a week. But you don't have a repository to lean on. You have to do most of the work with yourself, because what I didn't tell people initially, that I used to work my ankles for 2 to 6 hours a day. Like I'd take a break. Wherever I was lying or listening to audiobook, whatever I was doing, I was working that ankle. And you cannot sit at a physiotherapist 6 hours into 3 into 6, So you have to do this for yourself. And I think that their job is to increase your capacity. It's yours to deepen that capacity. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference between I got you moving 40 steps versus me doing this. I couldn't do that without the iron-built flexible ankle, even if I went to a physio, because there's a part of it, I don't know, it's helpful but not entirely empowering. Let me see if I can explain that. There is something, how you learn something and you practice it until it becomes an instinct and it builds your capacity in layers. You don't really do that by going somewhere just 1 hour or 1.5 hours, 3 times a week for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. That happens when you actually have like this sort of divine kind of devotion to that thing. Like you literally master one exercise at a time. They cannot give you 59 exercises. Your program was 9 weeks long. So I had like a finite target saying, I may not be hopping and skipping. And while these are exercises that she has collected over 5 years or 2 years, she still does many of them. And I know that I should at least be really competent with all the basic exercises in 9 weeks and then do the advanced ones. And I was noticing that I was doing the advanced ones, some of the advanced ones in time. I wouldn't have such dominion over myself if I had only worked with a PT. And this is no criticism of anybody. This is just the way any kind of learning is set up.
Yeah, and I think, that working with a PT is amazing because you have someone who is working with you one-on-one somewhere. You have someone who can, check how you are doing things. This is amazing, and PTs are really necessary. But it's also really interesting thing that the majority of the members of the RMBO Flexible Ankles course, they work with PTs, but they're still members because one of the things why I decided to give members a lifetime membership is because I know that you're going to be coming back over and over and over again, because when you will, one thing is when you start walking, you need certain exercises. Then maybe you will be like, oh, I want to try running again. And you will start working on different type of exercises. And like I said, 5+ years after my accident, I'm still doing the exercises. So I know that people are coming back again and again and again. So this is so important to me. But yeah, I'm so extremely happy. So for you, it's been 5 months, was it?
It's been, yes, I'm going to finish 5 months. What is today, the 19th?
17th.
I finished 5 months, 17th. Okay, so 5 months today. 5 months ago today, I had my surgery. Around this time, actually, I was being wheeled into the OR. Oh my God, what is serendipity? Yeah.
Well, your anniversary, congrats on your anniversary. And so what is basically for you possible now? Because, 5 months into 3 malleolar fractures sometimes can be pretty short periods of time and people are still struggling. But what is it possible for you right now? Do you, walk without any problems, or do you still struggling, or how is your ankle now?
Okay, so first I want to say that I think I'm one of those lucky few who actually at this point of time, I walk with ease. I only have stiffness if I don't work out my ankle for a couple of days, or I'm not well hydrated, or I've eaten things that are probably going to aggravate my injuries, but I sort of know them. But on an average, I don't even realize during the day that I have a broken ankle. I walk barefoot. I wear the Merrell's barefoot shoes, right? So that's what I walk. I stroll easily. By this time of the day, I have done, just inside the house, I have walked about 3,000 steps. I got up at about 6:45 in the morning. I haven't even realized that there's a problem with my ankle, meaning I have no consciousness that I was ever injured. Then I can walk outside for, a couple of miles with no problem. The only place that I have stiffness is when I come down the stairs. And I actually told him I was frustrated that I was walking a little bit slowly and I was doing 1 foot at a time. And I realized that there are people who are actually cannot come down the stairs after this kind of an injury. And I think that I can walk on uneven surfaces. If I feel like I didn't do something, I just sit down and I do my subtalar joint release from through thing, and the next thing, and I'm moving, and I do a few alphabets, and I'm done. What I realized was the moment I feel like I'm not fluid, I immediately stop and do the exercises. Just even if I don't have to do 45 reps, I can do 10 or 12 just to loosen it. And I might do it in a park bench or something. And there's a difference immediately. So I actually was afraid of subways and airplanes and long 24-hour trips to cross the world, to, trains, and how am I going to use the bathroom? I'm already claustrophobic, and on top of that, I have a broken ankle. I had all of those conversations going, and I realized that those conversations are no longer really there in my head anymore. I forgot that I was afraid, and I think that was one of the best things, and it's really empowering, Maya, to have dominion over yourself in that manner. I don't know how else to tell you that it's really empowering to have that kind of dominion over yourself, that I'm not calling the surgeon or the PT and I'm saying, oh, does it hurt a little bit? Like massage a little thing, some water, lie down, and then move your ankle a little bit. Within an hour or sometimes 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, and you've done so much, and this is the combination of your work, you showing up, you doing the work, you pushing yourself, and just being consistent with the exercises and all the other work. So, great recovery, ankle recovery, or any type of recovery, it's not just about the exercises, even though we were talking here mostly about the exercises. It's also about the mindset and emotional work and all the mindful work that brings you to your normal life again. And what you've done, this is just a cocktail of amazing recovery, and that's also the reason why you had such a great transformation. And I really appreciate you coming here and talking about this transformation, because it really shows other injured people what is basically possible for them. So it's not necessary, even if you hear things from your doctor that I heard, that you heard, that you might have problems, with your ankle in the future, it's not necessary that this becomes your destiny, your outcome, because you have the power to change things. And what you accomplished is because you showed up, you did the work, you pushed yourself when it was necessary, but also stepping back when you said maybe I need just a day or two off, and then I will continue with things. So thank you so much for coming here, for sharing this. Do you have maybe something else, maybe a word of wisdom that you would like to add to that?
It always gets better, even when it gets worse. And I always remember Christopher Fry's words, and I think I keep repeating myself to you also, that a human heart can go to the lengths of God. So you can, I think we underestimate the courage we ourselves have, because it doesn't follow a prescribed timeline. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we subscribe to horror stories from other people. And there were many who wanted to tell me horror stories. I am a really good isolator, and I have the gift of delusion, which usually either works for me or not works for me. But I was delusional enough to shut voices out. And sometimes, because you have no preconceived concept of reality, I couldn't find out from anywhere how long it will take me to walk, so I just walked.
Yeah.
I couldn't find out from anywhere how long it will be taking for me to get down the stairs, and I was afraid because I couldn't remember how to get down the stairs, how to walk. And then on the second week, you say that you had to have your husband show you how to demonstrate how to walk. And that was that very important moment for me. I said, oh, so you have to have somebody demonstrate sometimes. So I asked a friendly neighbor friend, and I said, would you just walk down the stairs for me a couple of times, and just so that I can see you? And then I would just watch dancers walk. So there are things that you can do and find your own way. Sometimes you are your own therapist, and it really helps to have a Maya Novak on your side. It really does. Through all the blizzards, through all the things, I can tell you that nobody could have done for me what you did for me. And I don't say that lightly. I thank you so very much.
Vilassi, I'm so grateful to be a part of your ankle recovery, to be that little voice in your head, pushing you, be there for you, and also give you something that you lean on and, help yourself to get better, because I'm here just the medium and you are the one who is doing the work. So I'm congratulating you. I'm so extremely happy for you. So thank you so much. And you who are watching this, if you think that RMBO Flexible Ankles program is the right program for you, if you would like to know more about that, then head over to mynovak.com/ankles. There are all the details and also the opportunity for you to join us now to start working on your ankle recovery today so that you can transform your stiff and weak ankle and become, this is not really your end result. So your ankle will get better when you show up and do the work, and the exercises that Vilasi was doing and is still doing, that I was doing, this can really help you big time. So that was mynovak.com/ankles. And Vilasi, thank you so much for sharing this. I really appreciate it. And I hope you will have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Enjoy
everything, Maya.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.